Hello there, toddler parents. Are you ready to dive into potty training? I have a simple acronym for you today. It's FOCUS, F-O-C-U-S, FOCUS. And that is basically my simplified and streamlined version of potty training. So let's dive right into it. As I said, FOCUS is the acronym I like to use, so there's 5 main points to this potty training strategy. So F is focus on your kid. During potty training, we want to focus a lot of attention on our children. So day 1, day 2, day 3, you're basically following your kid around. You're staring at your kid. You're really, really hyper-focused on them. This is not a day to deep clean your master closet. This is not a day to learn how to make sourdough bread. This is not a day to do any sort of tasks that really require your focus, concentration, and your attention. So we kind of just hung out with our kid all day, very specifically and intentionally, not necessarily watching TV, because that can be a distraction, but just sort of like playing board games or like coloring, sort of like loose activities where we were right there and very present. The main focus of the day is your child. O stands for outings, meaning outings should be limited. So when your kid is trying to potty train, they may have anxiety over the toilet. You may be using a separate potty chair or, a seat that attaches onto the adult toilet. Whatever the case is, you're getting them familiar with one toilet, more than likely, one basic setup. Now, if you go out in public, they're in public restrooms, or maybe you're at a park where they don't even have a restroom, and you're putting yourself in situations you don't need to be in. So we are going to stay home. Outings need to be limited. I even recommend limiting going outside unless you are open to potty training them outside. Some people are very open to that, especially with little boys. But if that's not the route you're going, then I recommend you stay in the house a lot and you stay really close to that potty. So we're going to limit the outings and try to keep the toilet consistent at first. Obviously, we need to introduce them to public toilets at some point, but right now that's not our goal. Our goal is just to actually use the restroom in the toilet. So let's keep it at home. I recommend trying to stay home for 4 days straight. Honestly, I know that's a long time, but plan ahead and you can make it work. The C stands for commit to it. When you decide it is time to potty train, obviously you have seen that they're ready via signs and signals from them, or maybe age-wise you feel like they're ready, or maybe it's a good time for you to potty train because you have some vacation time from work or something like that. Whatever the case is, for whatever reason, you have decided that it is time to potty train. Hopefully your child is ready, but once you make that commitment, I really think it's important to stick with that commitment and truly give it a week. Give it the full go. Don't let day 1 or day 2, they have 10 accidents and you're like, they're just not ready. We got to quit. Keep going. Keep pushing through a little bit longer. That would be my recommendation because it is going to get bumpy and it's going to be rough at times. But if you get wishy-washy and you go back and forth, then the next time you potty train, it's going to be wishy-washy again and again. And you're going to drag potty training out for 6 months or however long. So I recommend you commit to it. And then also with the committing to it, it's up to you how you handle this, but you need to make the decision up front and stick with it. Are you doing diapers at nighttime? Are you doing diapers at nap time? What are your things you're going to do because you need to be consistent with those choices? And that's going to be part of your upfront commitment. We did diapers at nap time and we did diapers at bedtime at first, and our child understood the difference. And then in the future, as they had dry diapers when they woke up from their nap or in the mornings, we eliminated that. And then they were undies full time, and that was great. But you need to decide what your limits are and then commit to it and stick with it. This means if you need to run to the grocery store, you don't put a diaper on your child. That's going back on the plan. That is confusing them. So take that commitment seriously. All right, the U in focus is undies only. Now, as I was just saying, you can do diapers for sleeping hours if needed. But when I say undies only, what I'm recommending you don't do is buy pull-ups for especially daytime. Now, if you use the pull-ups as a substitution for diapers at nighttime and sleep time, okay, you can do that. But when your child is playing around the house or you are going for a drive somewhere, we are not doing pull-ups. I think that is so confusing for them. What is the purpose? What are you trying to teach them? And I know some parents would say, well, that way that if they have an accident, it's less messy. But them having an accident, say they pee or poop in their pull-up, it's the exact same to them as peeing or pooping in a diaper. There needs to be a mess. There needs to be oh, this wasn't ideal, or oh, we're not doing this anymore. Pull-ups are not different enough from diapers to teach your child anything, in my opinion. We have never bought any sort of pull-ups whatsoever. It's diapers, and then we move on to undies. And I will never recommend pull-ups to anyone, ever, honestly. I'm sure they're a tool for the right family in the right situation, but in general, I would skip on pull-ups 100%. The S in focus is for stay positive. This is not a time to berate your child, to punish them, to scold them. When they have accidents, you gotta stay positive, and you just gotta roll with it and be like, "Whoop, you had an accident. Let's clean you up." And then you start over and you do a reset, and we remind them, "Hey, we're gonna use the potty, okay? And that's what we're gonna do now." And you just keep a positive attitude, because getting negative about it is not gonna help them succeed. It's, if anything, you being grumpy and negative is just going to make them clam up and have more anxiety physically, and maybe they hold it, or maybe they go hide in their special poop corner, or this or that. It's not going to help the situation. Okay, so we want to stay positive. And day one, it's easy to be positive, but you got to keep that up. Day 2, day 3, day 4. When you are getting tired, you still have to stay positive with them. This is not something we're going to scold them for. If they have accidents, we're not scolding them, at least not in my opinion, because you spent the last however long training them to use a diaper and to basically pee and poop themselves. Obviously, if you use elimination communication, you're not needing to potty train your child. And I wish I would have looked more into that originally and maybe pursued that. I did not. So I'm in the case of needing to potty train my children, as you likely are. However, we taught them to do this. We need to unteach them, and I'm not going to get mad at them for it. So I hope that makes sense. I don't feel like you have a right to get mad at them for having accidents. We're going to continue to encourage them and work towards our goal of successfully using the potty. Like I said, that's my quick acronym of FOCUS. F-O-C-U-S. Focus. So focus. Focus on your kid. Outings are limited. Commit to it. Undies only, and stay positive. Okay, so we're going to focus. Now, I want to run you through a quick what you potentially could expect days 1 through 4. So day 1, we're excited. We're ready. This is going to be fun. We are pumped. Your energy is up. There's going to be a lot of accidents, but you're not going to be mad about it because it's day 1. They don't know what's going on. They're doing their best. We got new undies. We got a new potty seat. We're loving it. That's day 1. Day 1, I would expect a lot of accidents. I would say, give or take, maybe 6, maybe more. They might have a couple successes. Are those successes by choice, or are they happy accidents where we just happen to sit them on the potty enough? Either way, doesn't matter. We're going to keep at it. Day 2. The morning starts off okay, but then as the day is going on, you're starting to get a little frustrated. It's not fun anymore. And also something that my husband and I experienced was we got tired because we were doing the F of truly focusing on our child, which obviously we love and focus on our children anyway, but really focusing. I mean, we were watching their body language and we were like, oh, do they gotta go? Oh, do they gotta go? Being so hyper aware of them, it was kind of so draining. We found ourselves day 2 and so on getting very exhausted, honestly. And in my opinion, or in my experience, I will say day 2, I felt like there was way more accidents than day 1. I don't know why this is, but that was just our experience. Day 3, again, you're exhausted, maybe getting a little burned out. Your child is probably still having accidents, and you might be thinking about quitting, but I urge you to push through. Another thing we experienced around this point was our child having fewer accidents. And at first, we took that as, ooh, we're making progress. But then I sort of realized we're having fewer accidents, but are we having very many potty successes? And I sort of started to realize I think our child is gaining some bodily control, which is good. But I realized they were sort of just holding it. And I was like, oh, that part's not so great. As much as you want to see the positives, you're going to have some positives and some negatives. And you just got to keep encouraging them and keep moving forward. And you will see the light. Now, day 4. For us, day 4, we started seeing progress. We were having more successes than accidents. The momentum it felt like it was starting to roll. Our child was starting to get it. It was starting to click a little better. We were getting there, slowly but surely. So day 4 was a bit of a relief for us. And I think 4, 5, 6, it just continued to get better. I think that was like, you got to go up the hill, and then we made it over the hump, and it was like better. I would say that's what we were feeling like on day 4. Now, what supplies do you need to potty train? We were very minimal. We don't like to buy a lot of gadgets and this and that. So when we potty trained, first of all, it depends on how many floors are in your home. I recommend having a setup for every level of your home. We live in a single story home, so we had one setup. We have this potty chair, It is a potty seat, and then the top part is removable and can actually go into the toilet itself and be just that little bit of a potty seat in the future. And then the lid closes and can be used as a stool, actually. So this potty has sort of two versions. And we started out where our child was pottying, where the whole seat was on the floor and they were using it. So we were not using the adult toilet at first. So we use this. And then, as I mentioned, that removable seat can come off. We put that in a little bag and we actually took that with us the first maybe week or two when we did do outings. It may have been like a restaurant or maybe a family gathering. We made sure to have this specific toilet seat with us so our child is more comfortable using a public toilet. They do make collapsible ones that can fold down much smaller and would more easily fit in something like a diaper bag. I will link one of those in the description of this video. I cannot personally attest to it or recommend it in the sense we did not use it ourselves, but I did want to provide that in case you were interested in something a little more minimal and small for on the go. It also would have been more convenient to have that in the diaper bag at times because when we left the house, we did have to take the potty seat with us. And then when we got home, had to make sure to unload it and get it back in the house so that we would not then mess up our child if they needed to use the restroom. So it took a little more effort on our part. The other item was just undies. We bought our child undies, tried to make it fun and exciting. Now when it comes to undies, you can get thinner ones or you can get the thicker training ones. I considered getting the thicker training ones, but ended up actually not going that route. I don't think it's a huge deal one way or the other. They might catch things better and absorb things a little better, but is that the point? Not necessarily. So I just went with some standard undies. I would recommend, probably getting 15 to 20. And I know that seems like a lot, but they're going to have a lot of accidents in the beginning. You might go through 10 in a day. So I would recommend getting a lot. Another big question is to do reward systems or not. Are you going to reward your child for using the potty? So when we went into it, initially I said, we're not doing candy, we're not doing food. I think I'm an American and I think we tend to reward with food a lot. And in my head, I did not want to do that unless we were desperate. In my head, if we made it to day 4 or 5 and we were just miserable, the candy was going to come out. But it was not my starting point. It was not where I wanted to begin this journey. I also kind of think it's gross when they're doing a lot of time with the potty and we're having candy and it's just, I don't know. I don't love the connection, I guess. So we did not get candy out for our potty training experience. There are some other things you can do. You can do non-food related things. You can do a sticker. They get to put a sticker on their shirt. You can do a temporary tattoo that they get to put on. What we ended up doing with our child, and it kind of was spontaneous. I think my husband came up with the idea. We painted her nails. So when she went potty successfully, I believe she got one hand painted, and then she did it again, got the other hand painted, and then she got a foot painted. And then after that, she got to start painting mommy and daddy's hands and toes. And she thought that was really fun and really special. So we did that as our sort of like reward system or acknowledging successes. I don't think you should do a sticker chart. I know a lot of people love them, where your child gets a sticker every time they successfully go potty, and then once they get so many stickers, then they get a big prize. I wouldn't do this personally. I feel like developmentally it might be challenging them for them to understand, oh, I gotta wait till I get 10 stickers to get a reward. I don't know if that sticker on the chart is motivating enough for most toddlers. It's going to depend on their age and their development and their understanding of the concept. If you typically give them things that are instant gratification, this isn't going to make sense to them. But if they're used to waiting for things, this might make sense to them. You got to judge it based on your child. But I personally did not want to use a sticker chart. That was not something I was interested in doing. We did the nail painting, and that was fun and that was special and that worked for our child. They were motivated by it. I don't think candy's the best, but would I have done it if I was desperate? Absolutely, I would have. So no judgment if you go that route. A couple final tips, tricks, reminders, things that I've mentioned but want to reiterate. So make sure your child is ready. Make sure they are showing signs of interest. That might mean going to the restroom with you, asking questions. Maybe they are using their diaper, but they tell you, they're like, poop, I pooped. Or you're noticing them going in a certain poop location and they're just more aware of their body. So look up some of the signs of readiness and don't rush your child unless that's something you really, really have to do. I would make sure they're ready. Look for a time that's good for your family. Maybe it's a long weekend. Maybe it is a holiday. I know that might not always be the best for family gatherings, but if that works for you. Another time that I actually recommend is, say your oldest child is, hitting about 2.5, 3, whenever you're ready to potty train, and maybe you just had a new baby. Now, Some people want to potty train before the new baby comes. If you want to do that, great. But if you are worried about a regression, you want to wait. Say you're a working mom. When you're on maternity leave with baby number 2, the very end of your maternity leave, say you get 12 weeks off. Maybe you're on week 9 when hopefully your body's feeling better and you're feeling better. Maybe then you potty train. If, say, both your children are then going to go to daycare. Depends on your situation, depends on what's going on, but that would be an option to consider. I will link a full video on that in the description as well. Another tip is to watch out for sneaky poo locations. If your child has like a chair they go behind or, I don't know, a corner of a room, maybe work with them on this. If that's where they like to poo, put the potty there if you can and say, okay, you want to go to your poo spot? And maybe they get comfortable doing it there. I know that might be weird long term. You don't want them to poo in a corner. But if it works in the beginning, maybe you just move that chair closer and closer to the bathroom over time or something like that and work with your child instead of always fighting against them. Or buy lots of undies and expect a lot of laundry. Make sure that they're, whether it's short season or pants season, make sure you have the laundry caught up before you start potty training so they have plenty of outfits. And you may need to run out and buy a couple extra. If they don't have a big wardrobe, maybe you buy a few more pants or undies for this phase. And I know that, I don't know, it can seem like a lot on some people's budget, but maybe you can make do just for the short season. Or just do the laundry and just expect to do the laundry. And another tip, if you have mats in your bathroom, like rugs and mats, and you are potty training in the bathroom, I would pull those up and I would move those out because you're going to have accidents where it's a running accident and they're not making it there. So I would do that. And then in general, when it comes to potty training around the house, if you have hardwoods, try to keep them on the hardwoods. Try to keep them off the carpets. Try to keep them off the couch, off the rugs. We actually intentionally played with our child in the room of our house as hardwood. We played a lot of board games on the floor and we just did a lot of like activities and things in that situation versus cuddling on the couch and watching a movie and then peeing on our couch. A lot harder to clean up. So we were kind of strategic and we really went into potty training with a plan. Final thing is, like I said, on focus, the C to commit. It is extremely important to commit to this and stick with it and show your child that we are going to go ahead and move forward with this and we're not going to be wishy-washy because I think it's doing them a disservice if you go back and forth on this. All right, there you have it, parents. That is it. I love making this video. I love talking this potty training strategy. Like I said, you are going to focus on your kids. Outings are limited. Commit to the process. Undies only and stay positive. You can do this. Your toddler can do this. Follow a plan. Stick with it and you'll be okay. Believe in your child and happy potty training. Check out some other videos on my channel and I hope to see you back here for the next one. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.